Recording in progress.
Om Ajna Timranasya Jananjana Shanakaya Sakshvanmetam Yena Tasmai Shigave Nama Shitchetayamanopistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svamrupakadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shiru Shiyuda Padakamalam Shirum Vaishnavam Shah Shirupam Charajatam Saganaranatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sabduktam Parjana Saitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Saganalita Shri Vishakam Vitam Shah He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jyatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kansana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutadevi Pranamama Haripriya Vancha Kalptra Visha Kripa Sindhave Visha Patnam Pavanabhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namah Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nam Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine. Namaste Saraswata Devi Gauravani Pacharini Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paskachari Desatarani. Srila Prabhupada Ki. So today we continue with our study of Nectar of Instruction, text 5. So in the first verse of Nectar of Instruction, we have heard the importance of controlling our mind, our senses, and so on. And how to do that is explained in text 2 and 3. Text 2 lists 6 things we should avoid. Text 3 things that she would do, that we have to do, all the practice of devotional service, following regulative principles and so on. And if we can do that, what's mentioned in 2 and 3, then our senses will be under control, and then we are ready to have spiritual relationships with each other. And these spiritual relationships have been explained in chapter 4, in text 4, 6 loving exchanges between devotees, offering gifts, receiving gifts. One devotee is revealing his mind in confidence to another, and another devotee is revealing his mind to him. And offering prasad, receiving prasad. These are 6 exchanges of love between devotees. But in the beginning here of the 5th text, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, in order to intelligently apply the 6-fold loving reciprocations mentioned in the previous verse, one must select proper persons with careful discrimination. That means these loving exchanges must be practiced according to the level of the devotees. I give an example. A younger devotee shall reveal his mind to a senior devotee, but a senior devotee will not reveal his mind to a new bhakta. That doesn't make sense. But there are many other examples, but let's read the verse again. There are 3 levels of devotees. This verse explains. So it says, I read the Sanskrit first. Krishnetya sagiritam manasadriyeta dikshasti shat pranadibis sabhajantamisham susrusaya bhajana vishyamananyamanya nindadi sunyaridimipsita sankhalaptya. So the 3 levels of devotees are described in this verse. So one should mentally honor the devotee who chants the holy name of Lord Krishna. And one should offer humble obeisances to the devotee who has undergone spiritual initiation, diksha, and is engaged in worshipping the deity. and one should associate with and faithfully serve that pure devotee who is advanced in undeviated devotional service and whose heart is completely devoid of the propensity to criticize others. So 3 levels of devotees are described. The Kanishta, the beginner, who begins to chant holy name but has not yet understood the philosophy, does not really following regulative principles, but it chants now and then the holy name. To such a beginning devotee, one should offer respect in the mind. And then the second level is the one who has received initiation. To such a devotee, we should offer our obeisances. That the devotee who is initiated and was engaging in the worship of the deity. But then one should seek the devotee who has lost the propensity to criticize others and is always undeviated engaged in devotional service. That's a pure devotee. One should take the association and serve such a person. That's the relationship with that person. That with more advanced means we will serve and associate with that devotee. And that if one is less advanced than us, then we offer our association. We don't take their association. That we will hear more about it, but we discussed last time already extensive the Kanishta Adhikar, and we discussed this verse from the 11th canto, Acharyam Eva Haraye, and we also discussed the verse of the Madhyam Adhikar, the one who is halfway devotional service, who is initiated, who worships the deity. Then he has 4 categories, and he has different relationship with these 4 categories. For Ishvara, Tat Adineshu, Ishvara means it is the Supreme Lord. For the Supreme Lord, you want to develop prema. Tat Adineshu, the devotees of the Lord, Maitri, he wants to develop friendship with them, with those who are equal. And Balisheshu, the innocent, those who are receptive for Krishna consciousness, Kripa, he gives them mercy. And the Vivachu, those who are envious of Krishna, Apeksha, he avoids them, he ignores them. So that we discussed last time. We discussed this verse in the Bhagavatam, but now we will read a purport in Nectar of Instruction here. So this is the way to cultivate devotional service properly. Therefore, in this verse, Srila Rupa Goswami has advised us how to treat various devotees. We can see from practical experience that there are different types of Vaishnava. The Prakriti Sadhyas generally chant the Hare Krishna mantra, yet they are attached to women, money, and intoxication. Although such persons may chant the holy name of the Lord, they are not yet properly purified. So that means the sahajas, they are not taking the process very seriously. So they are not following the 4 relative principles, still attached to illicit sex, to intoxication, and to come to devotional service to make spiritual advancement, one must give up these four sinful activities: eating meat, flesh, and eggs, then taking intoxication, illicit sex, and being untruthful, gambling. One must give that up. Otherwise, one becomes contaminated by these sinful activities. One gets lust into one's mind. And from lust comes anger, greed, madness, illusion, and one cannot practice spiritual life. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada writes here, they are not properly purified. So we don't, we respect them in our minds, but we are not going to associate with them. So that's what Prabhupada says, that people should be respected within one's mind, but their association should be avoided. So those who are innocent but simply carried away by bad association should be shown favor if they are eager to receive proper instructions from pure devotees. But those neophytes who are actually initiated by the bona fide spiritual master and seriously engaged in carrying out the orders of the spiritual master, we must offer obeisances. Therefore, when we write to each other, we always start with, please accept my humble obeisances. That is the practice between devotees who are initiated, and that's important. So, in those who are innocent but simply carried away by bad association should be shown favor if they are eager to receive proper instructions from pure devotees. Yeah, so there is a condition here. So those who are influenced by materialistic philosophies or behavior and are still doing these sinful activities, we can, but they are interested, then we show them favor. But they should be serious, taking instruction from the spiritual master, and try to give up these sinful activities. So that's the condition, Prabhupada says. Also for initiation, that's important, that one must be serious in following the instructions. So this further, the next paragraph. In the Krishna consciousness movement, a chant is given to everyone without discrimination of caste, creed, or color. Everyone is invited to join this movement. Sit with us, take prasad, and hear about Krishna. So that's the purpose of our temple, to invite everyone and to discuss about Krishna. Give them prasad and give them the opportunity to hear about Krishna. So when we see that someone is actually interested in Krishna consciousness and wants to be initiated, we accept him as disciple for chanting of the holy name of the Lord. So Prabhupada said, Prabhupada said, I will give them Harinam Diksha. Because in the time when Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj gave initiation, there was only one initiation that was also Brahminical initiation. But Prabhupada has applied that split that in Harinam Diksha and then Brahminical Diksha later. So Prabhupada says if they are interested, I give them Harinam Diksha. So that they can chant the holy name, they are initiated, they have a spiritual name, and they can make spiritual advancement. But for Brahminical initiation is needed for worshipping the deity and Brahminical activities. Prabhupada gave Brahminical initiation when he saw when his disciples started to become advanced and more clean and so on. So when a neophyte devotee is actually initiated and engaged in devotional service, when a neophyte is actually initiated and engaged in devotional service by the orders of the spiritual master, he should be accepted as a bona fide Vaishnava, and obeisance should be offered unto him. Out of many such Vaishnavas, one may be found to be very seriously engaged in devotional service, strictly following the regulated principles, chanting the prescribed rounds on japa beads, and always thinking how to expand the Krishna consciousness movement. Such a Vaishnava should be accepted as an Uttam Adhikari, a highly advanced devotee, and his association should be sought. So Prabhupada gives here characteristics how in our movement we can understand who is an Uttam Adhikar. It chants the rounds every day and follow the regulative principles. Is seriously engaged in devotional service in the temple or wherever, is engaged in devotional service constantly. And he always thinks of how to expand the Krishna consciousness movement. So these are the core members of our movement. Where Prabhupada shows different levels here. You have the level first. First, we become, from outside, we become interested. And then we become a congregational member. We chant some rounds. So then you come to the first level. But then, by associating, you become serious that I want to commit to 16 rounds and these regulative principles. I want to be initiated. Then you become a committed member. You are committed. And when you are committed to the process, and you get initiation and you make further advancement, then at a certain moment you are engaging in Prabhupada's mission, and it becomes your goal in life to help to spread Krishna consciousness. Then you become a core member. So you have these levels that we all should go through. A beginner, and then one comes a congregational member, one becomes committed to the process, gets initiation, and then one advances, and finally one becomes a core member, engaging in the mission of Prabhupada. And Prabhupada said, one who does that always, he is accepted as an Uttam Adhikar devotee, the highest devotee, by the symptoms. So that is what Prabhupada says he should be accepted as an Uttam Adhikar, highly advanced devotee. He's a highly advanced devotee in that sense, if he does that constantly. That does not mean that he's on bhava or prema, but he's highly advanced. So the process by which the devotee becomes attached to Krishna is described in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antya Lila, 4192. Diksha Kali Bhakti Kari Atma Samarpana Se Kali Krishna Tari Kare Atma Sama. At the time of initiation, when a devotee fully surrenders to the service of the Lord, Krishna accepts him as good as himself. That's the verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita. And then Diksha, or spiritual initiation, is explained in Bhakti Sandarbha by Srila Jiva Goswami. So what is Diksha? Divyang Jnanam Yato Datyat Goyat Papasya Sanksayam Tasmat Iksheti Sapokta Desikai Statvako Vidai. By Diksha, one gradually becomes disinterested in material enjoyment and gradually becomes interested in spiritual life. So Diksha is a commitment. I'm going to follow this vows for the rest of my life. I want to make spiritual advancement. Prabhupada said before one does that, before one takes initiation, that one must be thoroughly convinced that there is no happiness in this world. So best to wait a bit till one starts to realize that by hearing the scriptures, by practicing, usually before initiation it's good to wait a few years to get this realization that but Prabhupada in the next paragraph will explain that all these Americans, they were very addicted to sense gratification, but they became disinterested in material enjoyment, and they wanted to make spiritual advancement. So here it is said that so we have seen many examples of this, that especially in Europe and America, many students come to us from rich and respectable families, quickly lose all interest in material enjoyment and become very eager to enter into spiritual life. Although, Giriraj Maharaj, who was in Mumbai, that he became temple president in Mumbai just in the beginning when they were going to build a temple, so many difficulties. But then Giriraj Maharaj, his father came from America, and he offered him $1 million to come back. So, because he went to Prabhupada and said to Prabhupada, I want my son back. And Prabhupada said, you ask him, if he wants to go with you, he can go with you. But Giridhara Maharaj said, no, I have no interest. He offered them $1 million, but he said, no, I want to stay here. So that's committed. And that many students who come to us from rich and respectable families quickly lose all interest in material enjoyment and become very eager to enter into spiritual life. Although they come from very wealthy families, many of them accept living conditions that are not very comfortable. Indeed, for Krishna's sake, they are prepared to accept any living condition as long as they can live in the temple and associate with the Vaishnavas. That when one becomes so disinterested in material enjoyment, he becomes fit for initiation by the spiritual master. So they became convinced there is no happiness in this world. Happiness lies in devotional service. So for the advancement of spiritual life, Srimad Bhagavatam prescribed tapasya brahmacharya samena sha damena cha. When a person is serious about accepting diksha, he must be prepared to practice austerity, celibacy and control of the mind and body. If one is so prepared in his desire of receiving spiritual enlightenment, divya jnana, he is fit for being initiated. Divyam jnanam is technically called tatvijnana, or knowledge about the Supreme. Tatvijnanachtam sagaram eva bhigachat. When one is interested in the transcendental subject matter of the Absolute Truth, he should be initiated. Such a person should approach a spiritual master in order to take diksha. Srimad Bhagavatam 11.3.21 also describes tasmat karum prabhachita shikhnasa shreya uttamam. When one is actually interested in the transcendental service of the Absolute Truth, he should approach a spiritual master. So tat vishyartam sagarum eva bigachat. That's one. That's from the Mukunda Upanishad. And the other is from the Bhagavatam. Tasmat karum prabhachita shikhnesa shreya uttamam. So we had here also For the advancement of spiritual life, Srimad Bhagavatam prescribed tapasya, brahmacharya, and samensya dhamanacha. Let's try to understand this and read this verse. That 6, 1, 10. So we can go to Srimad Bhagavatam 6, 1. What was it? 6, 1, 10, I think. No, was different. Go back. 6, 1, 13. Okay. 6, 1, 13. Here. Tapasya brahmacharya shamena shadamena cha chakena satya so sabhyam yamena niyamena va devah buddhijam dira dharmahya shradayam vitaha shipantagam mahatapi venukulmam ivanala. To concentrate the mind, one must observe a life of celibacy and not fall down. One must undergo the austerity of voluntary giving up sense enjoyment. One must then control the mind and senses, give charity, be truthful, clean and non-violent, follow the regulative principles and regularly chant the holy name of the Lord. Thus, a sober and faithful person who knows the religious principle is temporarily purified of all sins, performed with body, words and minds. These sins are like the dried leaves of creepers beneath a bamboo tree, which may be burned by fire, although their roots remain to grow again at the first opportunity. So what is said here is that to concentrate the mind, what must one do? Sometimes we chant Hare Krishna and our mind wanders, we cannot concentrate. We chant, but the mind wanders and we have to bring it back. If you don't bring it back, it becomes worse. So here this verse says what you should do. One must observe a life of celibacy and not fall down. That's important. That is illicit sex and all these thoughts of so-called relationships on the body platform, they take away your attention. That's Maya's most powerful means. It removes your ability to concentrate. Also, one must undergo austerity, because if one takes alcohol and so on, one cannot concentrate the mind. The mind will control you if you do that, breaking these principles. There's no question of concentrating the mind. And voluntarily give up sense enjoyment. Voluntarily, it says. You must want to give it up. You must want to be austere. A devotee, Prabhupada says, eats fruitually, just what it needs to keep body and mind together. And then, not only that, one must control the mind and senses, and then give charity. Why charity? Because we are attached to so many things. If you give something away, you give up your attachment to it. Charity is good for that. Be truthful. Be truthful means I'm a spirit soul. And everything based on the conception that I'm a human, that I'm a body, it's not truthful. So we must act according to transcendental knowledge, how to act as a soul and learn that. Otherwise, if you act as the body, you are not truthful. And clean. Clean, Prabhupada says, means chanting Hare Krishna in the early morning to clean one's mind of lust, anger and so on. And only take prasad. That will clean the body, the gross body. The chanting cleans the subtle body. And then be non-violent. Non-violent is helping to others to become Krishna consciousness. If you are not doing that, then they get stuck in the cycle of birth and death. And follow the regulative principle and chant the holy name of the Lord. All these things we must do. And if we do it, our mind will become more controlled. Then we get a chance to get out of the grip of Maya. So yes, if we don't do that, this verse says, yes, that one may follow religious principles and get somewhat purified, but then the desire to do these sinful activities is still there, and one does them again. It doesn't help. So that is about concentrating the mind, how we go back to the next, and that's about approaching a spiritual master. That's from the 11th canto. So, tasmat karum prapachita jnasa shreya uttaram sapte parasanishnatam brahman upasamasram. It's a tasmat. Tasmat, Prabhupada explains here, therefore. So there is no choice. You must accept the spiritual master to make spiritual advancement. It's a must. Therefore, Prabhachita, one should take shelter of Guru. Prabhachita means taking shelter of a Guru. And taking shelter of a Guru, what does it mean? Jignasu. You must ask questions about your advance in spiritual life. Jignasu Shreya Uttamam. How to attain the ultimate good. The ultimate good is liberation, going back to the spiritual world. That's Shreya, not the prayer. The prayers is immediate good, the immediate enjoyment of the body. We don't have to inquire about that. We are doing that for many lifetimes. You have to give that up and act as a spirit soul. Acting as a spiritual soul means bhakti. Factually, it's jignasu, about inquiry about bhakti. That sapta para sanishnatam. That in the Vedas, the supreme person that is described, and the spiritual master is perfectly knowledgeable about the absolute truth, and is fixed in the attachment from this world, because that is attached to Krishna. Translation. Therefore, any person who seriously desires real happiness must seek a bona fide spiritual master and take shelter of him by initiation. The qualification of the bona fide guru is that he has realized the conclusions of the scriptures by deliberation and is able to convince others of these conclusions. Such great personalities who have taken shelter of the Supreme Godhead, leaving aside all material considerations, should be understood to be bona fide spiritual masters. So these are qualities of a bona fide spiritual master. Has realized the scriptures by deliberation. So Srila Bhakti Maharaj translated the Bhagavatam in Bengali. What a deliberation you must have to understand it, just to translate that. And because he was so fixed in that knowledge, he was deep and realized it, he could convince others of this conclusion, and so many were attracted to him. So taking shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, you become abhaya, fearless. And you give up all material contamination. I will do this service. I may have to take risks, but I will do it. And these are qualities of a bona fide spiritual master, described here. We'll read a part of the purport. According to Srila Sridhar Swami, the word Sapti refers to the Vedic literature, and Pare refers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The bona fide spiritual master must be Nishnatam, deeply experienced in authorized Vedic literature and in practical understanding of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Without scriptural knowledge and practical realization of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, a so-called guru will be unable to dissipate the doubts of his disciples and therefore unable to execute the function of bringing a sincere student back to Godhead. Back home, back to Godhead, a symptom of a realized understanding of the Vedas and Krishna is upasamasrayam. In other words, the bona fide spiritual master is one who has retired from the glittering illusions of materialistic friendship, society, and love, so-called love. So we will stop here. Are there any questions so far?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavats Pranam. Thank you for the class and this discussion on the different levels. So in different places...
You have a question, Sharanat Sharanpum?
Oh, yes. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Maharaj?
Everything is clear.
Hare Krishna. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Yeah, we are able to hear. If you can repeat the question.
Oh, okay. Maharaj, so
maybe there is,
in different places.
I don't hear you.
Oh.
Yeah, Maharaj is not able to.
Speaker, yeah, okay. Now I may hear you. I may hear. I could not hear you. Please share not share.
Okay. Yes. So in different temples and places, I've encountered a lot of different kinds of devotees. One kind is very favorable to the devotees, does some devotional service, and maybe even stays doing service for a long, long time. 10, 20 years, and they're very favorable to the devotees. But they'll never go fully into the four regulative principles and taking initiation. But still, like, they'll stay stuck for a long, long time. Some I remember here, 20 years. They'll come to the temple and they'll help with so many things, but they'll never go all the way. How do we speak to someone like that?
Yeah, that is a good point. You have congregational members who are remaining perpetual members of the congregation and never come to the point of taking initiation. Yeah, of course, devotional service is voluntarily, but it is important that we invite them and that we give the opportunity to hear from advanced persons. And if Krishna willing, and if they are willing, then at a certain moment in their heart will change. I've seen such cases who were a long time in the temple, no interest in taking initiation, but one day they got it. So there is always a chance, but of course we cannot force them. It's voluntarily, but this is a part of our function also. Krishna speaks in the 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita of these different levels of of those who come to Krishna consciousness. And there are those who are not in the philosophy of service, but they want to give some donations and they like to hear the spiritual knowledge. And that's good. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Name Bhaktya Prayachati. My devotee never perishes. So if they make this life 1% advancement, next life they will start with 1%. So it's only gain. And if they are a congregational member and they chant sometimes, like the kirtan and so on, then at least next life they will get the human form of life again. So any engagement in Krishna consciousness, how little that it is, gives always good results, spiritual results for the next life. So that is, but like you said, we have these cases and we cannot force it, but we can create opportunities. And opportunities to hear, and we can pray to Krishna in their hearts, please help them to become receptive in devotional service. Receptive for accepting devotional service. Does that help, Jagannath Sharampam?
Hare Krishna. Yes, Maharaj. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. Then I look forward to see you tomorrow for the Bhagavatam class. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, man.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.